Hi guys, I'm James and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk to you about two different coffee machines, specifically Illy and Nespresso, and an Illy Y3.2 and an Nespresso Essenza Mini. I'm going to talk to you about the machines, I'm going to talk to you about the coffee, and I'm going to talk to you about the ownership experience. So let's start with the machines. So this is an Illy Y3.2, it's currently £110, there's a special offer on right at the moment where you get a certain number of capsules free, 54, although it's currently out of stock. This machine, which was the Capsule Essenza Mini, confusingly there's also another Essenza Mini which has a slightly different shape and is made by Magimix, but this one specifically £89.99. That's also out of stock on the Nespresso shop, but is available at other retailers and is in stock currently. There's no special offer on that. As you can see, one is smaller than the other, but they are both essentially the entry-level machines for this category of pod coffee, and your decision then rests on whether you prefer this style, which is the Illy style, or whether you prefer the Nespresso style, and we'll go into the coffee specifically in a moment. A couple of things worth mentioning though on this: the tank size on this 700ml, the tank size on this 600ml. So I do find that I'm having to put water in this one more often. The second thing to note is that whilst they both accept these nice kind of classic clear coffee cups, when you've got something that's a little larger, which is the size I normally take my coffee, other coffee shops are available by the way, this one fits perfectly in this machine with no problem, but the Essenza Mini really is very mini. So the expectation is that you will remove that drip tray and then you can get your cup in under there. But it's just something to be aware of. They both have a power saving mode. The Nespresso auto offs in 9 minutes. In the Illy model it's 15 minutes. The Illy has a proper power switch, whereas the Nespresso machine just puts itself to sleep. Because the Illy capsules are a little bit larger, the other thing I found is that although this has a much bigger tank for capsules, it still really only takes 6 or 7. This again 6 or 7 before you need to empty it. So in the household currently, that means we are emptying it once a day. Before we go any further, it feels like it's the right time for us to make a coffee and actually use one of these machines and one of these capsules. So let's start with this Illy machine. I'm going to use the clear cup. From past experience I know it will just fit under here, and then it's just simply a case of popping a capsule in. That was the old capsule being ejected into the bin. Being a lungo capsule, the machine detects that and it will should vend the appropriate amount of water. But not in this case. I'm going to give the other button a try, see how we get on. And let's stop it there. And the nice feature about this machine is you can just tell it when you want to stop. Let's have a look at that. It certainly smells very good. We've got a lovely crema on top. Old capsule being ejected. Let's just bring that into shot. And this is where this small size of the machine works perfectly. Again, they both make a very similar noise, neither's particularly quiet, but equally not very loud either. And there we go. Not a particularly fair comparison, two very different types of coffee, but I think it's probably a bit too hot, but different, both very good. So having started with the machines, let's talk about the coffee, and let's start with Illy for the Illy machine. Now you saw previously a red capsule. Here's another style of capsule. This is their lungo capsule, and back in the day these used to come in tins like this, and you'd get 21 capsules in there. And the simplest place to buy that was direct from Illy. One of the challenges with this scheme or this brand of coffee machine is that I couldn't really find any alternative to going direct to Illy, whereas with Nespresso, not only can you go to Nespresso, but there are lots of other compatible capsules. As well as this standard capsule, of which currently there are 7 available, from a classic, an intense, this long one. There's also decaffeinated, plus those from Brazil, Guatemala and Ethiopia. They also do this more of a filter coffee, they call it. So the capsule size is the same, but the construction is different. And when put through the machine, that gives a much longer coffee. And that's available in a classic and an intense as well. Now, the tin, I got through a lot of tins in my time of using this machine. And one of the things that happens is that when you order, you end up kind of ordering multiple tins in order to get your free postage. And it ends up coming in a box of this size. There's the Illy logo there. And that's an issue, perhaps not at the moment while we're all in lockdown, but what that means is a box gets left on your outside the front of your house or your apartment, and that will be interesting to compare with what happens in Nespresso now. More recently though, they've moved over to this more compact packaging, so instead of 21 capsules you now get 18. And in terms of price, that now is £6.85, you get 18, so that's coming out at just over 38 pence a capsule. These filter ones are slightly more expensive, but in short, less than 40p per cup. If we compare that with Nespresso, firstly what you end up with is much more compact packaging. So this is a strip, as Nespresso call it. And when you buy these online from Nespresso, what they tend to do is they put them into a slim box like this. And what that means is it can go through your post box. So your 50 capsules of coffee can get posted through your letterbox and they're not left out in the rain or on your doorstep waiting for you to come home. The other thing is that the variety is much, much greater in Nespresso. This is just a sample pack that came with a new machine that I bought recently. This one is being retired, not because there's anything wrong with it. And this is only a small selection of the range. I count 29 currently, and there's some special editions for Christmas at the moment, and there are lots of different kind of categories. Some that are designed to be used or served with milk. Some are Master Origins, they're the ones I use. Some are the Italian range, and there's a lot more variety. In terms of cost, again, the more basic Nespresso capsules are 37p each. Some are 39, and I think go up to sort of 43 pence. And this is for the standard Nespresso capsule. They've recently launched their Virtuo capsule, which is probably more similar to this. And turn that off. They have a different price point, and it's not something I'll cover because I don't have that kind of machine. Or in terms of choice, perhaps there's a lot more choice available in Nespresso, but the costs are comparable. So having talked about the machines and then the coffee, let's talk about the ownership experience. And I think this is the important point for me because both of these machines make excellent coffee. There's a lot of people that really rate Illy coffee, and I do like it, but I don't think that it's fundamentally better or worse than Nespresso. The fact there's a lot more choice in Nespresso means that you can probably find something that suits your taste a bit more readily and a bit more easily. And in fact, my favourite coffee through the Illy range, something called Idyllium, they have now stopped. That wasn't the reason why I stopped using this machine. I stopped using it because it started leaking, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to get hold of the coffee for the reasons I said, which is that there was only one place to go and buy it. And that brings us to the point about availability. There are 55 Nespresso shops in the UK, and they are throughout the UK. So they're up in Scotland, and they're down in Devon and Cornwall, and there are obviously plenty of them in the south where I am right now. And that means that on a day like today, I can go into that shop because I've run low on, in this case, decaffeinated, and I can buy some decaffeinated there and then. Even if I didn't have an Nespresso shop, I could go to my local supermarket and buy some compatible capsules. Cafe Pod is a brand I've been using when I've not had the right kind of coffee in, or I've run out for whatever reason. And I simply wasn't able to find anyone that could do that for Illy. It was either buy it direct from Illy or go without. The second thing is that Illy capsules are plastic, and let me remind you, there is one. The Nespresso capsules, however, are aluminium, and Nespresso make a very big play about the fact that they can recycle them. And in fact, earlier today when I went to my local Nespresso store, I dropped off a bag like this full of Nespresso capsules that we've been using for the last couple of weeks. So that service exists in their 55 stores, or you can arrange for a full bag to be collected. With Illy, there is no process for that, there is no service. They did, or probably still do on the continent, sell a tool that enables you to split this capsule in two, empty the coffee grounds out when you've used it, and then recycle the plastic. But that tool isn't available in the UK, and in theory then you can't recycle this while it's contaminated with the spent coffee. The other thing about Nespresso is that they do a lot of good line in terms of, they send me an email and remind me when my machine needs descaling, and they also sell a descaling kit which fits in the box that fits through your letterbox, so you can order it with your normal coffee order. This box contains 2 or is it 3 descaling solutions, and it's £6 or £7. So it's not a cheap way of descaling your coffee machine, but it is a very convenient one. So in conclusion, I had this machine which I really liked because to that point earlier in the video I could get my cup under it, it had a good water volume, and it made great coffee, but it leaked. And one of the reasons it leaked is that there's just an inherently bad design at the back here, which is that you have to put pressure down on this water tank to lift it out, and that puts pressure on this seal here, and eventually that seal splits. Excuse me. I contacted Illy about it, but never heard anything back from them. So, and this machine will leak a reasonable amount of water in a short period of time. This already made the worktop wet. I went to talk to Nespresso, and they were doing a great deal at the time. This machine at the time was £59, this was back in May, with 100 free capsules. It's a great deal. That was effectively the price of the coffee, and the machine came free. And it's proven to be a fantastic machine, and that's why it's being retired. It is simply that the case is proven for me for Nespresso, and so I've taken advantage of another great Nespresso deal, which is their subscription service, whereby I now pay £25 a month, and for £1 additional I was able to buy a brand new Nespresso Cities machine. It's a little bit taller, I can get the cup under it, and there's a little bit more water capacity, so I don't need to keep filling it up. And that subscription service is wonderful because it's a fixed fee per month, and that money can then be spent in the store on coffee, and you can change your mind about what you want, or you can have a recurring order. All of which makes owning an espresso machine much, much simpler, and there's much less effort involved. And when in my case I have no kind of concern over the quality of the coffee, it's excellent from both, it's simply an easier solution. So my recommendation is, if you really value the taste of your coffee and you think Illy is better, then buy this machine, but be aware that within a year to 18 months it's likely to start leaking. But in all other respects, it's a great machine and really easy to use. If you've tried Nespresso, you like Nespresso, and you like the option to be able to have lots of variety, then go for an espresso machine and take advantage of those subscription services, because they really are a great deal. You are tied in for 2 years at the price point you choose, £20, £25, depending on what machine you go for. Some of them go higher. But it is a very simple solution, and certainly I have absolutely no regrets. So Nespresso for me, but it might be different for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that's helpful. I'll be doing a few more coffee machine related videos coming to the channel. I'll bring those to the channel very soon. But thank you again, and do enjoy your coffee. Cheers.